middle of October, even October, yeah. October 15th, October 20th. I mean, it wasn't that long before Diwali that Ganga was so high with rainwater. So it's this juxtaposition between the joy and the beauty of rain at an unexpected time of year, along with the awareness that it's not just an isolated blessing from the sky that we get rain, but actually it's an indication of something very, very wrong with our planet that needs all of us to engage and to do whatever we can to protect the planet. What mantra do I use to get what I want? Thank you. Thank you is the best mantra. You know, it's interesting because most of us think that the order should be, first, I get what I want. Then when I get what I want, I'll be happy. Then when I'm happy, I will be grateful. I mean, that seems like a logical order. Here's what I want. Until I get it, I'm not happy. Then I get it, I am happy. And in that happiness, I express my gratitude to whoever gave it to me, to God, to the universe, whatever. But actually it turns out that it's not that happiness leads to gratitude. It's actually that gratitude leads to happiness. And it's not that getting what we want leads to happiness. We know that. We know that. I mean, how many times in life, right? There's that great story of the villager who what did he have? He had a cow. Forget the first part of the story, but join me in the middle of the story where he gets this horse. Out of the blue, this beautiful horse shows up. Something very bad had happened to him before then, and people had said, oh my God, you know, you've lost so much, and you poor thing. And he said, we'll see. We'll see. Then he gets this horse, and everybody says, oh, wow, you're so blessed. You've got this beautiful, beautiful horse. And he says, we'll see. And one day his son is riding the horse, and the son falls off and breaks his leg. And everybody says, my God, your beloved son, your one and only son, broke his leg. My God, you poor thing. And he says, we'll see. And a little while later, the government of the city that he's from comes through pulling all of the young men to fight a war that has started with the people in the neighboring city. But his son is laid up with his leg in a cast. And so his son doesn't get taken off to fight in the war. And everybody says, wow, wow, what a blessing. Your son got saved. Of course, he says, we'll see, right? So we all know the situation of getting what we think we wanted, only to discover that actually it wasn't nearly the blessing that we thought. Sometimes not getting what you want and realizing in retrospect, oh, thank God, like not getting it was such a blessing, right? We've all had that happen. You prayed, you wanted something, you didn't get it, and you realize later, my God, if I had gotten that, where I would have been. So we know that getting what we want is not the way to become happy. But we also know that gratitude, at its deepest level, is not that which stems from actually getting something that makes me happy. Gratitude stems from an awareness within ourselves of how blessed we are, regardless of what we have, of how deeply blessed we are. If your eyes opened this morning and you actually can see out of them, if you've got legs that enable you to stand on them and walk into your bathroom from your bed, if you can turn on a tap and actually have water come out of it, clean water that you can use to drink, to cook with, if you've got food in a cupboard, on a table, in a fridge, or money in a purse to be able to buy the food from a market, if you've got someone in your bed when you wake up, or in your house, or in your life anywhere, who you love and who loves you, not necessarily romantic, anyone who you love who loves you, if you've got all of those things, you are more fortunate than almost anyone on this planet. And if on top of that, you can worship God however you want, without some government, some group, some people preventing you or oppressing you or killing you. If you can love other people, whomever you would like, in whatever way you would like, without being thrown in jail or oppressed or repressed, if you've got all of these things, consider yourself in the top tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of fortunate people. So we don't have to actually look very far to find things to be grateful for. Gratitude arises from an experience inside. My cup runneth over. My God, I am so blessed. And it can be little things. I mean, for me on a personal level, every single time I walk into the ashram, there's a view. When you walk into the ashram from the banks of Ganga, we've got this arch right in the center of the ashram, this beautiful colorful arch with a little pointy thing at the top. And when you walk in the daytime, in the light, just behind that arch, what you see are all of the green mountains. And when you walk in the evening, most of the year, what you see behind that arch is the moon. And whenever I walk in the ashram, day or evening, I look at that view and I think, my God, I can't believe I get to live here. I can't believe that I get to call this place my home. And it never gets old. It's been 26 years. And every time I see that. So you don't have to look very far. But what all of our, not just spirituality, but if you look today at science, if you look at psychology, if you look at the studies that are being done, the research that is being done, what it's all showing us is that gratitude produces happiness, not vice versa. First you become grateful, then you will be happy. And then something very interesting happens. Then you start getting what you want. It's really interesting. We become magnets of that which we want. There is a power in gratitude that somehow makes the energy of the universe stand up and take notice and support that. You know, if you've got someone in your life who just from the depths of their heart is so grateful day in and day out for your presence in their life, whatever you do, you're going to have an instinct to keep doing things for them, right? I mean, if it's sincere, just effusive gratitude for who you are, whatever you do. Oh my God, thank you so much for that smile. That smile just made my day. Well, you're going to want to keep smiling at them. Not so that they keep saying thank you, but because we all, really at the end of the day, we all want to be seen. We want to be appreciated. We want our lives to make a difference. And if there's someone who, minute after minute, day after day, just keeps appreciating you and telling you how much your life matters to them, you're going to want to keep living near them. And I think in the same way, the universe, there's just an energy around, okay, this person notices. This person is connected. Because think about it. I don't know if any of you have ever done this experiment. I sure have. Where you go out and you just decide you are going to smile at everybody that day. And you're going to try to make as many people smile as you can. If you've never done the experiment, I really recommend it. It's a beautiful, how you feel at the end of the day is so beautiful. But what you notice as you do it is, when someone smiles back, it brings a whole new level of inner joy. When nobody smiles at you, you have to keep generating the joy from inside yourself. You keep closing your eyes, you keep meditating again, you go within and you find within the source of joy that enables you to just keep smiling at people even when they ignore you or look at like you're crazy. But when someone actually smiles back at you, it's a fuel, it's a catalyst to make you keep smiling. You're so much more ready to smile at the next person. And I think that the universe is kind of the same way. That when we are in alignment with it, when we notice its gifts, we notice its grace, and we are grateful for it, there's an energy. And so, to get what you want, first you become grateful, sincerely, not as a means to an end, because guess what? The universe is pretty smart. It's actually inside your head as well. So you can't outsmart the energy of the universe because it hears your thoughts. So sincere gratitude for how your cup runneth over. And from that gratitude, joy blossoms. And in that joy, one of two things happens. Either you get the thing that you thought you wanted and it just moves into your already joyous space. Or you don't get it. But you realize that as it turns out, you didn't actually need it to be happy. And so you end up wanting what you have rather than trying to have what you want. And that's really the key to happiness, is not how do I get what I want, but how do I want what I have? So thank you is the best mantra. Other questions? Yes.
Recently, I happened to sit in the company of some custodial liberals and intellectuals. I showed my happiness and pride. I belong from Jammu city. Some Balaji temple is being constructed there. So I showed my happiness and pride. I have the Balaji temple being constructed, the beautiful hillside of
Sankshape me.
Yeah. In Jammu city. On this, one of these immediately started criticizing that such construction on the name of religion should be stopped.
If you hold the mic at your mouth, then people can hear.
On this, they immediately started criticizing that such construction on the name of religion should be stopped and environment should be saved. Authority must not allow such huge temple construction and rather should restore the beauty of hills. On this, I put few points forward, support this Balaji temple. I simply said that it should promote tourism and hence the economy will be boosted, and such construction bring pride to religious sentiment also. So I stop my discussion there. But how to handle these kind of, when we sit in society.
Beautiful. Well, just quickly, a one-line gist for those of you who may not have heard all of it. He was recently in a conversation with some people around a temple that's being built in Jammu, where he's from. And people had said that construction, even in the name of religion, should not be permitted in these natural areas, that it should not be permitted to destroy the environment. And so he said that he put forward his point of, well, it'll be good for tourism and it'll increase the economy. I actually have to say, I agree with them. Meaning, I love temples. Yes, I think we should have temples.
It's a very small part. I mean, they have provided so big land. And the temple is just on the front, very small temple.
So, I'm not a builder, I'm not a contractor, I'm not an architect, I'm not a city planner. But what I would say is, to the extent that we can live our lives, including worshiping God, including building our homes, including going to the market, including having energy to run our electricity things, including everything we do, to the extent that we can do all of that without harming Mother Nature, we need to. What it means is we have to be creative. Pujya Swamiji has a bamboo hut in his garden. Now, when I first came, he had just a huge garden, and there was a tree, this beautiful bougainvillea tree, in one corner, and it had gotten kind of large, and it was sort of hanging over. And all the area behind it, therefore, didn't get any sunshine. And so it was kind of always muddy, and, grass wouldn't grow there. And so Pujya Swamiji had this vision, that all of that area was unnecessarily being wasted, and we should actually build a bamboo hut, because he used to meet people just sitting in the grass, which was beautiful, except when it rained, or except when it was really hot, and that something should be built to enable him to meet people 12 months a year out there without people getting rained on or being out in the middle of the summer heat. But what to do about the tree? So what did he do? And this is why I say it takes creativity from someone who's just as committed to Mother Nature as they are to the construction. He brought in guys with a car jack, like you would use to raise a car to change your tire. So they brought in this huge car jack, and they slowly, like every day they raised it by maybe 2 inches. It took a long time. Slowly, because the tree, of course, is alive, so it'll keep growing, in accordance. If you move it a little bit, it'll grow accordingly. So slowly with the car jack, they raised up the tree, because the trunk had started to do this. It was bending over, which was why the area behind it was now dark and damp. And he just slowly got them to raise that. And then they built the roof of this bamboo hut around the trunk of the tree. And now you've got a tree that comes through his hut, and the bougainvillea comes out over the top of it, and it's beautiful. You can't always avoid cutting down any tree. But we obviously should avoid it to the extent possible. And what I would say is, we need to prevent cutting, especially any kind of old growth trees. There's a lot of places in the world where we've got old growth trees that are hundreds of years old. Those we need to make sure don't get cut down. If you're cutting other trees, for every one tree you cut, they should have to plant 2. And not just plant them and leave them, but actually be responsible for them for at least 5-7 years to make sure that the tree really is growing. So whatever we do, we need to make sure to give back to Mother Nature. Like any kind of construction, there's going to be taxes to the government. There's going to be all sorts of payments that have to be made. You pay the builders, you pay the architects, you pay the contractors. Well, in the same way, we need to pay Mother Nature. I mean, if I'm going to sell you my land, you pay me. But all of this land is really Mother Nature's land. So the idea that we could just take it without a payment doesn't have that depth and truth of sight. So I don't know what kind of environmental reparations they are making, but I would certainly encourage them, whether it's required or not.
It's provided by government of the land.
Right, but the government took the land from Mother Nature.
But just a small temple. I mean, they are
Yeah.
having.
No, I understand. I understand. I'm not against the temple. I think it's wonderful. No problem. But you asked my opinion, so I'm giving you my opinion. My opinion is trees are also temples. Nature is also a temple. And there's no place that God says, thou shalt construct 4 walls and a roof in order to worship me. And wouldn't it be beautiful if we could gather in groves of trees and worship? So I would love to see that happen as well. as far as the construction of temples, again, I love temples, I'm in favor of temples, but let's just make sure that we're not destroying one in order to build another. I'd much rather knock down a shopping center and build a temple in its place. I mean, the land's already been cleared. We certainly don't need more shopping centers. If it's a small temple, knock down a pizza restaurant, knock down a McDonald's. Build a temple there. Right? I mean, there's so many options. And if the government is doing it, then they've got all of the zoning possibility in their hands. Let somebody donate their house. Rather than selling their house to someone else, let them donate it to become a temple. Government will pass the zoning. This can now be a temple. Done. No trees have to be cut down. So if we're really, really creative, we can do it. And I think that that's the type of vision that's really needed these days. Because the truth is, there's always justifications. And if we're really going to protect our planet, we have to be prepared to stop looking for justifications and to start looking for alternatives. How else could this be done? And to start looking for those sorts of ways. So this isn't obviously just about a little small temple, but this is in general about how we're developing. And until and unless we really shift that vision, we're not going to be able to live in harmony with Mother Earth. Thank you. Yes. We do have a microphone someplace. Yes. Thank you.
Can I just add to that?
Just one sec. We'll take hers and then we'll come back. Yeah. There you go.
First of all, I just want to say I'm so grateful to be here at last in person. And then before I ask my question, can I just ask how your mom is doing?
Mom is doing great. Absolutely fantastically. Thank you for asking. India has been so good for her. So good for her. She physically is so much better. We were expecting a deterioration or the same at best, but in the between her stroke and bringing her here, she just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So we sort of expected that was what the trajectory would look like. We would have been happy with her not getting worse, but she's actually gotten so much better. Yeah, she's doing fantastically. Cognitively, she's doing better. She's talking more, much more sense. Yeah, she's doing a lot better. Thank you for asking.
Yes. Yeah. We look forward to those updates.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so glad. Wonderful. Cute.
I will show to my mom also.
Wonderful.
So my question is, correct me if I'm wrong. So our purpose is to remember who we are, okay? But why did we have to take birth not knowing who we are in the first place? Thank you.
So this is a perennial question. And it's certainly the question that arises when you introspect. If you introspect deeply, and you introspect with focus and attention and thought, this question is bound to arise. Okay, so my purpose in life is to know who I am. We say self-realization or God-realization. That awareness of who I am as divine, as soul, as spirit. But why did we forget in the first place? But why, if we were one with God, and where we're going is oneness with God, then where did this separation come? Like, how did that even happen? So yeah, it's a beautiful question, and sadly, it's not a question for which I, on a personal level, have ever heard or read an explanation that speaks to me. In satsang, it's really important for me that I'm not here as a teacher of philosophy. I'm not here to just say, well, this one said this. Until and unless it's a teaching or a piece of wisdom or an experience that I've personally had or that I've been able to implement in my life and I've seen its impact. Because I figure everybody can read books. I mean, now everything's on Google anyway. What satsang is about that actual experience of truth. And I've never heard, read, or experienced a truth of this, except one. Here's the one. The one says, okay, so we have divinity. We have undivided supreme consciousness, supreme reality, God, whatever word we use. That supreme reality wants to have an experience of the love, the energy of love that happens when two become one. Now, if you think back to your life, you're a woman, and there's something that, I mean, everyone does it, but in my experience as a woman, it seems to me that women tend to do it a little bit more than men. You're in a relationship. The relationship is going great. No problems at all. But something starts to stir inside, and we feel a bit bored. And we may or may not be consciously aware of it. May happen consciously, may happen absolutely unconsciously. And without really realizing what we're doing, we start to kind of provoke situations in which there will be a fight. And we do that because what we know is, after the fight, we will make up. And in the making up, that energy of love, which of course was already there long before we instigated the fight to bring about a little bit of stirring the pot of love and passion, but there's something about the coming back together when you make up after a fight that's different than how you were together before the fight. And unless you've experienced that, it doesn't make a lot of sense. You can't logically explain it. But from all of the smiles and laughs, we realize everybody has experienced this. And the explanation that was the only one in all these years that I've heard that just on a deep level made me feel, yeah, was that God too wanted to have that experience of two becoming one. And so it wasn't a drama of a fight, but it was simply a lila. The Sanskrit word lila is the word that is given as the explanation for why we forget, why all of this. It's the drama, the play. Is one simply of having forgotten. Of having forgotten. Right? It's essentially, you can think about it as God playing hard to get. Right? Now, why? No reason. We're one. And anyone who's ever dated, anyone who's ever been in a relationship like that, you know that there's just a different energy. When you are sought, courted, yearned for, and then gotten, that's a very different energy than just when it's, yeah, we are together. So I can't guarantee you that's the reason. I can just tell you that of all the reasons that I've heard, that's the only one that inside I thought, well, yeah, I mean, I get that. And so maybe, for whatever reason, God decided that God wanted to have that beautiful experience. But here we are. Whatever the reason for it was, here we are. And the path of re-remembering, like the path of making up, is exquisite. As long as you don't get detracted and distracted. It's like, imagine that you provoke this little drama in your relationship for the joy of making up, but instead it ends up driving you further and further apart. Right? I mean, how horrible are you going to feel then? Like, what was the point of it? And I think as humans, instead of moving from forgetfulness to remembering, go deeper and deeper into forgetfulness, willingly, consciously. I can't even imagine how the divine must be feeling about this. I mean, obviously, God is infinite patience, embodied and not embodied. So the impatience that I would feel is obviously not what God is feeling. But I do think about this sometimes, that whether the universe doesn't wonder whether this was an experiment that went sort of awry. You know, the sense of, wait, honey, that wasn't what I meant. You know, I just wanted a little bit of drama so we would make up. I didn't actually mean to pack your bags and leave. Wait, let's rewind this, right? So I do sometimes wonder whether we haven't, as a creation, just gone awry and ended up essentially packing our bags and leaving. What we used to do was get inspired to come back and to reunite. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
You said in your opening remarks that gratitude leads to happiness.
I'm sorry?
You said in your opening remarks...
Just 1 second so I can hear him. Thanks. Yeah, I'm sorry?
You said in your opening remarks that gratitude leads to happiness.
Exactly.
So at a point of time, your glass of happiness gets full. Or at that point of time, a sense of entitlement comes to everybody's mind. How do you stop that? Thank you.
Beautiful. Now, when we experience our cup runneth over, that experience, as you say, the glass of happiness is full, entitlement doesn't have to come in. If we're really anchored in gratitude, not my cup is full because I did it, not my cup is full because I'm so great, but thank you so much, my cup is full, then what happens is actually as it pours out, we share with others. That's generosity, that's compassion, that's sharing, that's giving. Those who share and give are those who experience their cup runneth over, which, by the way, almost never is those who actually have the most. It's most usually those who actually have less. It's a very interesting irony in life that those who have the most tend not to actually have the experience of being so full and grateful for it. Whereas those who have somewhat less, good roof over their heads, plenty of food, basic needs are taken care of and more, but they're not in your rich lists, those tend to be the ones who actually share the most. If you look at the most generous people, the real givers, they tend to be people from that category rather than your rich list category. So it's not actually about how big this full glass is. It could be a katori. But if my experience is I am full, holding my katori and you've got a big mug, but your experience is that it's not full, I'm richer than you are, even though I actually have less, because I'm living in an experience of abundance and prosperity. Now, when entitlement arises, that arises because there's no gratitude. Because, see, gratitude fosters humility, fosters happiness and humility. Because in our gratitude, we realize it is grace. It's not me. I mean, yeah, I did the legwork. But anybody who's really honest with themselves realizes a lot of other people are also doing the legwork. And they're not receiving what I'm receiving. There's people who are so much smarter, so much more capable, who have worked so much harder, who by all practical reasons are so much more deserving of this full cup than I. But I've received it, which means it's all grace. And so introspection leads to humility. If a full cup leads to a sense of entitlement, it means that that person thinks I'm the one who did it, that I somehow deserve not only this full, but I also deserve your full cup. Like I deserve everything. Because I'm somehow inherently more worthy, more deserving, better than others. And कि ये सब मेरे मेहनत से हो गया. That I've made this happen. Which means they're drowning in the darkness of ignorance. Anybody with a sense of entitlement is drowning in the darkness of ignorance. And all you can do is pray for them. There's a beautiful story of a king, and we'll we'll conclude this evening with it. There's a beautiful story of this king who was a wonderful king, and he provided very, very well for all of his subjects. And one day a holy man came to the town, and the king was showing him this school and this hospital and this housing complex and all of these things that I've provided. And the holy man bends down. They're walking by a river. And he bends down and he picks up a rock. And he says to the king, "Tell your men to break this rock." The king was like, "Why?" Holy man says to do it, you do it. So he tells his guys, break the rock. And his guys break the rock. And inside the rock is this nutrient-rich pool of water and a little frog living inside. And the holy man says, "Did you provide this for the frog as well?" And the king realized, my God, it's not me. Look at the universe. Look at the perfection of the universe. I think I'm the provider. I'm just a tool in God's hands. Sometimes he provides a school through me. Sometimes he provides water through this rock. But I'm just a tool in his hands, like the rock. So that level of truth and awareness and humility is what's needed. An entitlement is a sure sign that humility is absent. Beautiful. We will start tomorrow with yours. We'll start satsang with yours tomorrow. But before we end, we have a beautiful birthday to celebrate. And will you call our Rishi Kumars in? The ones who are out here. We have a beautiful birthday to celebrate. And in traditional, our satsang tradition, we celebrate birthdays by singing happy birthday in the language of whoever we happen. So we begin in English, everyone knows. Wherever you're from, should you speak any language other than English, raise your hand, let us know what language you speak, and we will be so happy to have happy birthday in your language. Namesha, come. Our beautiful Namisha, who's engaged for beautiful seva and has been with us at Parmarth the last few months. But it seems like she's been here much, much, much longer than that. She came months ago. And it's Namisha's birthday. So we will... So we'll sing happy birthday in English and then in Sanskrit, and then we will open it up to whatever languages we have. So everyone together, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Namisha. Happy birthday to you.
Sudinam, Sudinam, Janmadinam, Bhava Bhavatu Mangalam.
Janmadinam, Sudinam, Sudinam, Janmadinam, Bhavatu Mangalam, Janmadinam,
Vijayi Bhava Sarvatra Sarvada, Bhavatu Mangalam, Janmadinam,
Nam Sudinam, Janmadinam, Bhavatu Mangalam, Janmadinam,
Om Dirghayusya Okhade Panika Jasmai Jatavat Vanamyaham Ato Swam Dirghayurbhutva
So what other languages do we have? We know we have Dutch, but what other languages? Okay, great. Give the man a mic.
ਬਰਥਡੇ ਦੀਆਂ ਬੜੀਆਂ ਬੜੀਆਂ ਵਧਾਈਆਂ ਹੋਣ. This is my original language, Dogri language. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Yeah.
वाढदिवसाच्या खूप खूप शुभेच्छा.
You can sing it even better. Nothing to be shy of. Dr. Manoj Patel.
Nobody would know this, but what I'm going to do.
Okay?
I know how to sing Happy Birthday backwards. So please
Sandeep ji?
close your eyes. Please close your eyes for 5 seconds.
नहीं, इनकी
हाँ जी।
कैमरा 1 सेकंड मनोज जी, संदीप जी अपनी कैमरा जरा उस तरफ कर दो. हाँ,
Please close your eyes for just 5 birthday backwards.
okay.
Close your eyes, please. And happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.